Okay, so good evening for Joy Matters. And ladies and gentlemen, we will be tackling the issue on what's the new world after COVID 19. So please join me and let's travel to Europe because my next guest is coming from Europe and that will be Belgium. So I would like to call on my guest. My guest is actually from the Philippines, but now she's based in Belgium. And she's one of our great professor in University of the Philippines. I would like to call on no other than Dr. Fivizu Sanchez.
Hello, Joy. Good evening in the Philippines. Good noon to the people in Europe and also the other parts of the world if they are viewing this program, Help TV, on Joy Matters.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fivi. So you're trying to welcome me to your place right now
And
in Belgium. So
Luwalaloop.
at least just a glimpse of your place. So I've traveled. So okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we would be looking at on the things that we felt are the new normal for what's after COVID 19. So, Dr. Phoebe, before anything else, would you like to greet some of our friends from the Philippines? I know you've been away for months, so how was it? I mean, maybe families or special someone's who left from the Philippines. So
I would
you
like
may
to
have the
greet,
joy.
yeah, what really
Mm.
makes me happy is to see again the people in the University of the Philippines, the new students who are coming in. So I greet my Dean and Professor Francis Michael Abad,
Mm.
the other members of the
Mhm.
College of Social Sciences, and my beautiful friends in the communities where have been exposed to, especially the community we shared together, Joy, the Bariulus community, and
Yes, yes,
yeah, because I have been there for
yes.
quite a long time, 9 years in field work
Mhm.
with Bariulus is not bad, but it's really very extensive learning that I got through with my sociological studies in the community. And my family from Karkar, Cebu, and also my family in Lahug. And of course, time and again, I go back to my academic family. I always greet my friends because I'm
Wala.
working with a, I've been with the academic union for quite a long time. So my greetings to the members of the All UP Academic Employees Union. I think that's all. That's all. Hi, Joy.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. We're supposed to start the program at 6 o'clock in the morning, but due to some technical difficulties, we managed to be on at this point in time. So just like, yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So there's a gap of time. I can
Okay.
understand.
So just like the olden times, we share this passion in serving people. So let me pose my first question. Um, as you can see, what do you
salamat dai ko sa Health TV Cebu nga na sa ako ang nadawat. Daghan kayong salamat akong tabang sa akong pamilya.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Doc Phoebe,
I
can
could
you hear me
not get
now?
the yes, but I
Okay.
could not get the previous question. What was the question again? Was there a question?
All right. The question, my first question at this point in time is, what do you observe as the pattern of the new normal of the societies all over the world after the experience of COVID-19?
Okay. Can you hear me? So the pattern, the new normal is telling
Mm-hmm.
us to be more dependent on
Yes, I can hear you
information
now.
technology. Yeah. The new normal is telling us to be more dependent on information technology, and practically in the communications, in the area of communications. Okay, the members of the family is considered a bubble, particularly in Europe. You have nations that will go for only 5 people in a bubble. If you go beyond that one, that's not allowed. But in the
Okay.
streets, a couple can can go together closely. If you're a couple, you're identified as a couple. So it's not, it's not, it's allowed. If you are a couple, you go together. It's not like the Philippines where you still have to make a bar between the couple riding on a motorbike. Well, the couple can always go together. The family can have a bubble of 5. Some nation states have 6, others have 5. But they cannot go beyond 5. Otherwise, you have to be in an open space. Another thing is dependent on biomedical engineering to ensure the immunology system, and diverse science. Yes, diverse science on genomics, identifying your genes,
Mm,
and big biotechnology, big biomedical engineering for diagnostic tests and big pharmaceuticals. That's a new normal here in Europe. And of course, the emphasis on good food and veggie food driven, eating. We should go fresh. We cannot go to food that is highly chemical dependent. We should avoid that one. And meat is not a regular food source. Meat is always um, limited, but there is, for good body immune system, the reliance on the agricultural production or the
mm.
vegetables, the basic crops, potatoes, and leafy
Right. For
things.
the meat.
That's what I see
Okay.
here.
For the meat is dirty and toxic.
Meat is not also the kind of meat that is in mass production type where you have contract
Dr. Phoebe.
farming. Yeah, meat is not, when we speak of meat, it's not the kind of meat that you have in massive production systems, like you have swine in,
Dr. Phoebe.
yeah, hello, hello. Yes, yes, yes. Cannot be heard. I'm okay. Okay. So meat is not from this massive, like contract farming, like, chicken in one big building where you have swine and also chicken in big buildings with big waste management. Swine is to be to be grown in the backyard, and chicken to be grown in the backyard. So just like the old traditional things that we have, they don't eat goats, they don't eat chicken that is not from the grassy area. So meat should be roughage eating animals. That's the kind of meat that they want. It's organic. Meat is also organic. Everything that you have to take is fresh and organic. That's the new normal. So they don't have McDonald's. They don't like that one. I'm sorry. You get it?
Okay.
Joy?
Yeah, you're bubbling a bit, but anyway, this is like people's protected war. It's kind of you need
The
patience.
new normal
Anyways,
is like people's
um,
protected war.
can I now forward to
The next,
okay?
yeah.
Can I now forward with the next question? Okay, so having experienced the pandemic in the first world country, how did it change the way they combat this pandemic?
The first world have their high-tech science-driven biomedical engineering, biotechnology, and big pharmaceuticals. They develop collective and public food subsidies. They also have these food kitchens for communities. But basically, the recording of pandemic spread is collective. Scientific consultative bodies are there. You can hear that Germany has done massive testing at 1.4 million a week. Last time, the bottleneck of the testing is always at the return of the results of the test. But lately, they have already a kind of test that can be done in 3 minutes. Only that the rapid result is not as good as the 1 or 2 week test, because the 3 minute result cannot identify whether you are a risk carrier or you are a contagious carrier. So still the 1 week or the 2 week test
Mm,
is a better system. But again, that is the bottleneck for the massive testing, the return of results. But the record says, and this is a record breaking scheme. Germany is still the best because you can have 1.4 million, that's the average that the Germans could have for massive testing. So they have three steps. The first one is massive test. The second is isolation of identified positive carrier. The last time was 2 weeks isolation or 2 weeks quarantine. Now they have already lowered it to 7 days quarantine and massive contact tracing. And then repeat cycle again. Okay, massive testing, isolation of positive carrier, and contact tracing of those who have. But the problem today is that they have to close down, shut down schools, especially for the secondary, the elementary, and the nurseries for the children. So, like France had made a news last night, 32 schools have to close down. And of course, what would not change is the casino economy is dependent on hot finance or big finance,
okay, so
because the casino economies have triggered financialization through online banking. So that these are the things that we should emphasize or we should consider. Big biotechnology or biomedical engineering, hot finance, and big pharmaceuticals. And of course, consciousness to do mass testing on a regular basis, and the consciousness of the body immune system. Our internet is slowing down. That's our problem in the Philippines.
Hi everyone, met our beautiful friend, beautiful Nelia. Nelia is giving away 5,000 pesos in cash. Para makasali ka at makapanalo ka ng 5,000 pesos, it's very simple and easy. Just share your COVID-19 stories with us. All mechanics and details is in our YouTube channel. So please click and visit our Health TV Cebu YouTube channel for more information, details, and the mechanics. See you there!
Okay, welcome to Joy Matters. Dr. Phoebe?
So, as I said, we have to take care of three things: biotech, biopharmaceuticals, big pharma, big biomedical engineering, consciousness on the body immune system. That's the emphasis. And um, the three things: mass testing, isolation of positive carriers, and contact tracing. Could we proceed?
All right. So, yes, you, at least at this point in time, most probably we would like to see how Belgium look like, and how does it feel to live in that place. So we prepared some pictures, so at least could place now. So so tell us about all these photos that's been showed,
This photo,
Dr.
I'm with,
Phoebe.
yes, this photo is, okay, this one is the garden, the veggie garden where I visited in Nivelles. So I helped them also fill up and plant the tomatoes, the capsicum, plant the greens for vegetable production. That's garden. There's a garden that's good for a hectare there.
Hmm. Where healthy
And
tomatoes grow.
tomatoes, I remember we have
Okay.
potatoes, everything. Okay, that's
Hmm.
the, and this one, the first rally I attended was a Labor Day rally, and the other one was a women's march during March 8th, the International Women's Day. This one is the
Okay.
International Labor
Hmm.
Day, that's May 1, with the workers in Europe, workers in
Okay.
Brussels. 'Cause- and
Mm.
that's
Get your, yeah,
the
patriot.
father,
Wow, I very
priest,
happy.
the Polish, yes, the Polish father, who is taking care of the house that I lived, the College Alberto Gran, at the Catholic Université de Louvain-la-Neuve, because I stayed in the dormitory of the scholars here at the Catholic University. That's Father's Bigniff.
Hmm. Okay. So now we'll proceed to our next question.
Third question.
Still can hear me. The third question would be, what would change and what would not change in terms of social, ecological, political patterns around the world? What do you think about it? What would change and what would not change?
Consumerism was curbed down by the pandemic, so that's one thing that changed. There was consumerism that was detrimental to the environment, because consumerism also is derived from too much production, and too much production with too much waste, and too much, because the the intention to do too much production was for profit, for the greed for profit. So too much production, too much destruction of the environment, too much waste, and the wastes have resulted to high pollutants. The things that we breathe, the things that we drink are contaminated with all this waste. And so that had resulted to the pandemic. But at least it served a lesson that consumerism should be curbed. Some states refocused on the nationalization and industrialization of big agri-fishery, agroforestry base, because this is the genuine source of food, and the secrets of the immunology system is stemmed from agricultural production. So the intention for massive public food subsidy and public healthcare subsidies were also considered. What would not change? I say again, casino economies dependent on high finance, because high finance trigger massive biotechnology and biomedical engineering. The problem with the sciences is that it is technology driven, so it will require a lot of money. And that's why there is a need for hot finance or big finance. And this financialization thing is driven by the internet or driven by online machines, like your banking system is now done through online. So these are the things that I consider as that would go together.
That should go together. So that leads to the next question. What could be the possible obstacles to these changes?
If I put myself in the context of the third world, the
Actually,
greed or the
what could be the possible?
If I put myself in the context of the third world, greed or the profit motive has always been an obstacle. If there is too much greed, and if the consideration of everything is always profit, well, that has been the problem long before. And with the growing debts, we have massive debts from the IMF, World Bank. We have massive debts from China. And then the IMF will always impose structural adjustments. Number one is privatization, or the selling of public companies and the selling of public assets to private corporations. That is destructive to our economy because it will leave our government coffers low. The other one is freezing of public subsidies, and the other one is freezing wages. So this will result to inflation with very low employment, and thus will also result to stagflation. And that is big crisis. There is big crisis if there's going to be stagflation. So if we speak of obstacle, that's number one. Corporate culture is dangerous at this point when solidarity is needed and cooperation and collective help is very important. So people must have solidarity, people must help each other, people must stand, and profit should not be emphasized on the way. The structural adjustments program must be eliminated because we have a lot of foreign debts, and I'm sure that these banks would like to impose what Chicago School imposed, the structural adjustments program of privatization, market deregulation, and market liberalization, which means selling of public assets, removal of public subsidies in the food and health, public health and public food subsidies, removal of price controls, and the freezing of wages. This will result to the impoverishment and dispossession of those who are already poor. So that's a big obstacle to change. Saka na yan. Let us actually push for greater solidarity and cooperation. And the banks should wait until such time that we are ready to pay
Mhm.
for them.
Yes,
What's the
just
next?
like what even Germany did. They
Yeah, braided
eradicated.
plans.
I mean, as
They have
I
the
said,
braided. Yes.
even Germany, as I said, even Germany itself eradicated the taxes and the debts. Even they have like manifested that people, in its sense, would at least survive from this pandemic with this kind of initiative. Which leads to my next question. What could be the possible direction of this social, economical, political arena of the entire world if correct intervention of this political policies be implemented, and why is it necessary?
A good direction, I would say that we should
Dr.
focus.
Phoebe.
Yes, yes, the best direction will still be focus on agri-fishery, agroforestry production, introducing the industrialization of agriculture. But of course, basic to that is to nationalize the land, because if we don't
Yeah,
nationalize the land, people will not be having the incentive to produce more. The production of good food, healthy products, healthy food direct from the farms is best for the body immune system. And so if we can establish a system where there is good production for sustainable agriculture, at the same time sustainable ecological systems, one which is not corporate and one which is not profit driven, but one which is collective and one which is with equal sharing and in solidarity, then there is a good direction towards a strong and healthy population, strong and healthy society, a strong and healthy labor force.
as a
Pasalamat day ko sa Health TV Cebu nga na sa ako ang nadawat. Daghan kayong salamat dakong tabang sa akong pamilya.
Okay, welcome back to Joy Matters. And I may now proceed to my next question. If Dr. Phoebe, are you still there?
Yes, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay.
All right. Mhm. So if it's live, anything goes, anything happens. That's the beauty of this, what you call online thing. So um, I guess as a sociologist, how would you assess the impending global crisis that all nations have been through right now? And what are your thoughts on it?
Okay, the pandemic has restructured everything. The pandemic has restructured our social relations. Instead of making meaningful social relations in a tactile manner, we have to maintain physical distance. So that is one thing that is really difficult. We cannot express ourselves fully only in words, but it could have been good if we can hug and closely hug each other. That's a European thing, but it's not this time. So everything has been restructured. The relationships
That's
with
right.
friends, the relationships with neighbors, the relationships with colleagues. The work or labor scheme is also restructured. There is now what we call work at home scheme. Education time frame has been uh, restructured. The learning system or the mode of learning has been restructured. And I pity the young because it could be possible that education will lag behind, especially the time bound education. Of course, in other countries in Asia, for example, in China and other parts of the Indo Chinese peninsula, they have mastery bound education. But for those with time bound education, there is going to be limitations this time. There's going to be a limitation of the mode of learning, like when we do the online thing and your internet is too slow, or if people cannot afford the gadget, this is
Like
where
that.
help, yeah, this is where help should come. This is where government should intervene, provide centers for IT so that the public can make use of IT materials to communicate with their loved ones or to communicate with other people outside and to be able to work or to find jobs through the use of these gadgets. Mm. Hello?
Hi everyone, met our beautiful friend, beautiful Nelia. Nelia is giving away 5,000 pesos in cash. Para makasali ka at makapanalo ka ng 5,000 pesos is very simple and easy. Just share your COVID-19 stories with us. All mechanics and details is in our YouTube channel. So please click and visit our Health TV Cebu YouTube channel for more information, details, and the mechanics. See you there!
So, welcome everyone. We're back to Joy Matters. So, we are here with Joy de la Cruz in our show. So, once again, we welcome everyone to be with us. So, Miss Joy, are you still there? Okay, Miss, go ahead, Dr. Phoebe, with our previous discussion. So, how would you relate that one about the technology, about the IT system and the internet? I know that the Philippines is kind of different compared to what is going on in Belgium.
Yeah, as I have said, the pandemic had restructured our social relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Family relationships are restructured. Our relationship with friends, with neighbors, our colleagues in the office, in the work, um, our work uh, area is also restructured, and much more. The mode of learning and the educational institutions have been restructured. We have now what we call learning via online and also work at home scheme for work. But what I observed here is that the construction sector is always sustained. They continue the work in the field, especially in the infrastructure development. And another thing is that there's a lesson for us to learn because massive consumerism had resulted to greater
Yeah.
pollution and environmental destruction, so that this has to change too. Okay, I cannot objectify exactly what they're saying when they say that the waste and the pollution is too massive that has caused this pandemic or triggered to the development of certain viruses and is already unabated I cannot objectify these things because I am not in the field of science, but I can say that these are the things that are basically uh, changed or basically modified and restructured as a result of COVID 19. Others would also say that
That's right.
this is a
So,
competition of the uh, IT things, like a competition between Huawei and 5G. And of course, some parts of the world would like to consume 5G, the other parts of the world would like to consume Huawei. But they can always have parts
yeah,
of market segments that will serve for their interest. But again, that is in the context of what is profit driven. I just hope that profit motives will slow down a bit so that social solidarity can take place.
that's right. So, what could be the possible solution along the way to prevent this kind of crisis to happen again in the nearest future, Dr. Phoebe?
Greater lessons to the greedy landlords for the food
Definitely.
aspect. The food aspect is to have their lands nationalized. All arable and vacant lands should be used or should be donated to those who are into farming. If you are not into farming because you are in another field of work, then land should be centralized to the government, and the government should redistribute
So,
it to
how would
those
you
who
like to
can
fail proof
farm.
this kind of scenario?
Fail proofing is basically making Congress and the Senate initiate the task. So their lands should be given to the poor, and let them set up the farm cooperatives, but not them to participate, but only the poor ones. Like elimination of cartels in the vegetable cartel, or the elimination of big cartels in vegetable production or agricultural production. There should be farm cooperatives or social farming techniques and social entrepreneurship from the poor, not from the bureaucrats, not from those big landlords and big
That's
compradors.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
Initiate it for the
Yeah.
poor ones. Like
Okay.
there are
So,
here you have bio farming markets. So the farmers sell and they also plant at the same time. But in the Philippines, you have vegetable cartels who dictate the price to the farmers and they sell it at very expensive,
the
high cost
prices,
for profit. Yes.
it's a profit, really profit driven material actually. Dr. Phoebe?
Yeah.
Dr. Yeah, okay. Am I still here and you're still there?
There is a gap. There's always a gap in this online discussion.
Okay, we're back with Joy Matters. So, Dr. Phoebe,
I'm waiting for you.
just like you mentioned earlier, it's the internet problem that really poses all this kind of problem also, as you have mentioned. So, right now, I would just like to know, like, how are you feeling right now, like staying in the first world country and experiencing this kind of condition while seeing where you came from? It's entirely totally different.
Well, of course, I feel bad because I'm here and I see
Dr.
things done.
Phoebe.
I say I feel bad because I see things done differently here compared to what is practiced at home. And it's highly organized. You cannot be lost because you are incorporated
Differently.
in you're incorporated in a dossier system. Like they have a general medical dossier for everybody. So the kind of ailment that you
Yes.
have is recorded in all the pharmaceuticals. You buy your
Okay.
medicine, the pharmacy will ask your birthday and your name, and they can
So, as a
see in
matter
the
of
computer, they can see in the computer who you are and what are your medications, what is your sickness. So they know you exactly. It's highly organized.
Mhm. That's right. So, as a matter of political and socio-economic policy for the Philippines, um, what do you think should be done, especially at this point in time?
We need an overhauling that should debunk and throw away the
Dr. Phoebe.
corporate system. We need an overhauling that should throw away the corporate and the profit motive first. Go back to the spirit of solidarity and collective sharing among all, where the mass population of the poor can catch up and we can level the playing field.
Mhm. So, how do you see the Philippines' socio-economic and political conditions 3 to 5 years from now?
I'm afraid it will go worse with the imposition of debt repayments or debt payments by greater structural adjustments program from the IMF World Bank. We will sink more unless the next government will have greater political will to turn down Chicago School structural adjustments program that IMF World Bank will impose on third world states like ours.
Mhm. Yeah.
Pasalamat day ko sa Health TV Cebu nga na sa ako ang nadawat. Daghan kayong salamat dakong tabang sa akong pamilya.
If it's live, anything can happen. Now, Dr. Phoebe.
Yes. Okay. What's the next question?
Dr. Phoebe. So, we're now in a wrap up stage. So, what is your message to all the government officials here in the Philippines handling this pandemic right now?
I would ask them, well, they are in the best position to deliver good service, because delivering good service is good politics. But the best thing is to initiate actions in solidarity with the different sectors, encourage greater synergy between public and private sector, and enhance or, you know, encourage voluntarism. Always put in mind collective action first. Stop political repression. Encourage mass voluntarism. No to military interdiction. No to police interdiction or paramilitarization. Be sincere in saving lives and not save lives for the sake of politics or politicking. Find more open spaces to plant more food for mass distribution. Reproduce regular soup kitchens for the community. The kalabasa, carrot, malunggay, alugbati, balatong, lugaw-lugaw, or soup kitchen. Start solidarity and communal sharing,
That's
okay?
right.
And then go back to mass testing and, of course, 7-day isolation for positive carrier, mass contact tracing, and back again to these three cycles of testing, isolation, contact tracing. If we can do this mechanically and regularly, there is always a way to flatten the curve of the infection. That's what I would say. Hello? Hello? Nawala na.
Okay, Dr. Phoebe.
Yeah.
And yes,
Yeah.
Dr. Phoebe.
Yes, yes, yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, on your final note to the Filipino people watching us all over the world right now.
My call, okay, my call is for greater solidarity, collective action, uplift the poor, and let us all push government, the Duterte regime, and its military cohorts to stop political repression. I call on Philippine government and all Filipino compatriots to turn to the hardcore task of uplifting the condition of the poor, to be raised to a higher level by boosting public health, public food subsidies, increased wages, funding collective social farming, or setting up farming cooperatives, in a way redistributing assets to push for greater genuine assets redistribution. That's the way that we can continue. Stop political repression first, and then let the military and the police go back to the barracks. Because if they cannot help plant, and if they cannot support the poor, but keep on killing the poor, then we will go nowhere.
Okay, thank you so much. That was our fabulous Dr. Phoebe Sue Sanchez, fresh from Belgium, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Phoebe Sue. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that just goes to tell us that all the things that we have discussed earlier were true even at this point in time. So we better take